churning, and somehow seems to make you hungry at the same time. Beautifully produced, wonderfully acted, incredibly well written, fabulously shot, TV show in the history of TV. Will you please welcome, from Hannibal, and I'll bring them all out at once so we can get started, Aaron Abrams and Brian Bierlein, Scott Thompson, Jimmy Brian, Caroline Deverana, Alana Bloom, Executive Producer Brian Steve Lightfoot, Director David Slade, Executive Producer Martha De Laurentiis, and of course Mr. Brian Fuller. Here they are. Not everyone who wanted to be here could be here, but everyone knows how much the show means to you. So certain people have recorded a message which is specifically for everyone in this room right now, specifically for you Hannibal fans who've been queuing for about 7 days. So let's have a look. Get ready to doff your flower crowns as we enjoy this very special message. Let's play it. Okay, well, but I believe there might be something else.
There's somebody here as well who actually shouldn't be here because they were shot in the face. Since they're going to be such a huge part of season 4, or season 3, I'm getting ahead of myself, and 4, please welcome Raul Esparza.
Questions and answers to do here, but obviously we want you guys to have as much time to do questions as possible, so in about 15 minutes I'll be opening the floor to you. You've been at panels before. I think it's in the middle of the room. There's a microphone. You can queue up there now if you're not already doing so, and we will get to as many. There you go, there's the flood. And we will get to as many as we possibly can. Let's start with Raul, because Raul, you really shouldn't be here.
Nope.
You took a bullet in the face.
I did. Great big bullet in the face.
And despite the fact that you played, let's face it, a bit of a dick on the show, that was so welcome.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't believe how much people fell in love with Chilton this season. So thanks. Thank you. Honestly, I love playing the part because he's a total douchebag, and he has a turn of phrase that is so delicious. There's fullerisms all over the place with this character. So I loved how throughout the season, the worse he got and the more sort of exposed he got, the smarter he thought he got, the more the fans loved him and the more that he got trapped. You know, I was as surprised as everybody to find out I was going to get shot in the face.
But now that we see you here, without giving away any too major a spoiler, can we therefore assume we will be seeing a little more of you in season 3? And further to that, does anyone ever die in Hannibal? Who doesn't get eaten? I mean, if we don't see them being eaten, will they come back?
Yeah, if you haven't been eaten, I assume you can't come back again. So it looks like a Weeble wall. You just sort of shoot him in the face, he comes right back. And you got him in the previous season, so I told Brian that by next season I'm gonna expect to have like an eye patch and a hump and a parrot.
Why the hump?
I don't know.
Okay, let's go to Brian now. This end of the room, ladies and gentlemen, Brian Fuller, the mastermind behind most of this, I think. So many questions, so little time. Let me ask you that as well, though. Other people who we've seen in the show were presumably dead. Now that we see Raul's here, is there, for example, last time we saw Eddie Izzard, who was fabulous in it, he was limbless and lying on a table. Will he be coming back?
We are writing a role for Eddie to return as a flashback. He's kind of like, he got Ed. So he's...
Yeah, but we only saw the limbs being eaten.
You'll see a lot more when we see him.
Okay. On that note, let me go to perhaps, I don't know, Martha, would like to take this, maybe, or Steve. What are the standards and practice kind of guidelines you have to stay in between for what we can see? I mean, it's pretty grotesque, pretty gruesome, but I guess there are some walls or no walls where you're just very sick. What are you told by NBC that you can and can't show us?
No sex, but lots of violence, usually.
That will disappoint those who've already paired off Will and Hannibal, of course.
We can make Brother happen. Pricing Zello.
Oh yeah, that hasn't happened yet?
Yeah, well, it doesn't. Have you read this last fiction with Jimmy Price and Brian Zeller? It exists.
Never mind. I think you guys might have slash fiction
Yeah, it's
yourself.
not fiction. I don't understand this fiction that everyone's talking about.
Well, with that in mind, I mean, a big part of the appeal of the show is the love that has grown between Hugh and Hannibal, of course. And what concerns me as a fan, I'm sure some of you, is that in the next season, he's on the run now, Hannibal's gone. Will we see those scenes where they're together? Are you going to find a way to try to get together? Hopefully, if they are Skyping, it won't be from Australia, because that was very poor quality. But are we going to lose that, or have you found a way to make that work for us?
Well, I think that one of the cool things being a Star Wars fan is when you separate R2-D2 and C-3PO, they don't become less interesting. They go on their own adventures, and one of the fun things for us about this new season is introducing a lot more characters from the novels that hadn't been in the series yet, and some that hadn't even been in any of the films. So we are going to be rolling out new characters in episode 2. We will introduce Commodore Pazzi. Episode 3, we have Lady Murasaki. Episode 4, we're going to be rolling out Cordell. And Francis Calderhide in episode 8.
Point taken, but no one really wanted to see R2-D2 and C-3PO kiss. So,
What do you think those little knobs that come out of R2-D2?
Okay, let me get them after. You mentioned some of the new characters you're introducing, and obviously there's always a question hanging over the series, which is, will we get to see Chloe Starling enter your Hannibal world from the movie Hannibal world? I know you're aware of this. What can you tell us on the latest on that?
Well, as we're very fortunate to have is the literary properties behind Thomas Harris that Brian Fuller has, and I just heard for the first time today said that he is what are we doing?
We're Thomas Harris mashup DJs.
Mashup DJs, and it's fantastic. Obviously, what we've been able to play with and the properties of Thomas, but leading off from the plane ride with Bedelia and with Hannibal is very reminiscent of the end of Hannibal. And so he kind of mashed that up to go launch us into season 3, where we pretty much have him on the run, and we'll mine the book of Hannibal Rising as well as the book of Hannibal, being, you will find out in the first episode wherever they land, and then the relationship that he'll have with Bedelia. Going into, as Brian alluded to, seeing Francis Dollarhide in episode 8, and then start the telling of Red Dragon. So following the book of Red Dragon, how we'll end up, whether it'll be at the end of season 3 or going into season 4, goes right into Silence of the Lambs, and the character of Clarice Starling, and with Hannibal Lecter. And at that point in the history of the rights that we retained as the company, we did not have Silence of the Lambs. And that is in the hands that went from Orion into folding into MGM. So MGM controls that property. So whether we do it, and we hope to do it with MGM, or if they say no because they'd like to do their own series, we would do our own mashup. I know. In fact, we've got to really kind of push something with them, because so far they're kind of in a position where they were launching Clarice at the same time we were doing Hannibal. So they were a bit pissed at me that we kind of went off and did our own. But if that doesn't happen, we would do our own, as you said.
Schmerly Schmarling.
But fantastic. Obviously, what Brian and his team of writers, Stephen and the writers room have done is just taken what has been laid out for us all to mine and make our own version of whatever that is. And this could be even more exciting. So then, kind of launch on from there. Very long story.
So if we don't get the mics, then you know who to write to. You just give the MGM address out at the end.
We'll tweet their email addresses if they say no.
Let me go to Steve, because Steve, I know your writing contribution is enormously important to the show as well. When you're writing characters, if you were to get Clarice on the show, but even when you write Mason Verger, for example, how free are you to make changes in the character as he appeared in the book and how he appears in the series? How much leeway do you have? How much do you bring into it, and how much do you stray from Thomas Harris's original work?
I think I was very little at all, but generally, I mean, it's writers room. You're always trying to find a story, and we're led by story and character. And I think the names are there and the sort of story roles. So for instance, we gave Mason, before his accident, all the story material in many ways that happened to him in the Hannibal book after the accident. So as Brian said, I think the mashup analogy is a very good one. And in the end, the stories are born out of the writer's room, initial inspiration from the book, and we kind of go where they take us. So our Mason is much younger and kind of crazier, and I think, and then also what's great is you get to see what an actor like Michael Pitt's doing with it, and you start writing for that, and that's also the thing. I think often you start seeing what an actor really starts doing with it, and you write for their best plays, and that's the joy of series television. In a movie you're doing and you're out, but we get to watch these guys grow up, all the actors on the show, right for them.
And have you got plans, have you written scenes even kind of loose in your head for Clarice if she were to enter the show?
We're hoping, and we're going to be doing a full court press to try to get those rights, because it would be completionist, as I'm sure many people at Comic-Con know and feel. Completionism is an important thing as we're collecting all of our things that are out on the floor. I know I have my shopping list, but I want to complete the story.
There's no shortage of great characters already. Alana Bloom, of course, played by Caroline. What a fabulous. So beautifully performed. I would have felt difficult to pull off all of that when the audience at home screaming at you. How can you be in bed with that monster? How can you be in bed with that monster? How can you not see? Is it tough for you to play that kind of slightly guileless or kind of misguided person?
Well, when I'm in front of Mads Mikkelsen, everything's easier. But I think she's known him for so long. She knew him before she knew anyone else in the show. So I think the confidence and the trust is very strong. And everyone else around her is behaving so weirdly to her. I mean, I think he's her rock. And that's why she can't see it. Because everyone else is just, Will Graham is a roller coaster, Jack Crawford is always behaving. So I think Hannibal becomes very solid to her, and that's where her trust is.
When she finally found out, do you think she would have liked to have been eaten by him?
Well, they had sex. That's a form of consumption.
Okay, I'm going to let that just hang in the room there. Right, let's go to Aaron. Let's talk to you guys there, because there's humour in the show as well. There's much humour in the show, and often it comes from you guys, I think. Would that be fair? How hard is it to play for laughs or to kind of be humorous in a show which is as dark as this?
It's a lot easier to be funny on the set of a dramatic show than it is actually in a comedy. This is the lightest I've ever been on. We were doing Kids in the Hall. It was a horror show every day. It's easy because it's actually I don't know. It's just the humor. The show needs lightning, and Aaron.
I didn't know I was hilarious. I thought I was being very dramatic.
Yeah, he does. He thinks he's like really a big stud, like the big bleeding neck, but that's no. We agreed, we forgot. It's hard to hear.
He has startling qualities, that's for sure.
He does.
Thank you.
Wow. Let me ask you, you know you're coming back now, or we think you're coming back now?
Am I coming back, Brian?
Yes, you're coming back.
Okay, I'm coming back.
Was there a period where you thought you weren't, and how do you deal with that when you meet the people who are lucky enough to be going on with the journey, when you think you have been so cruelly cut?
Brian's always been very kind to me about what happens to children. He'll come in and say stuff like, "We're going to gut you, but don't worry, you'll survive." And I'll just kind of go, oh, okay. It's Brian. We work together on Pushing Daisies. On Hannibal, this is a very dark place. That mind of his, it's a very dark place to enter, but on that show, it was a very light and wonderful place to enter, so I just trust him implicitly. So when he said that I was going to get shot in the face, he said, but you don't die. And I said, well, I can't, because I'm Dr. Chilton, and I survived. I know, because I've read these damn books. Chilton's kind of but like he says, he's a DJ. You have no idea how it's all going to play out. I get as excited as anybody else to find out about how we're going to do this. It is the most creative experience to walk onto that set because you sort of never, they pull out all the stops and you never know where you're gonna head to next. And there are so many layers to this show that we get to play with as actors. I mean, there's the references inside the references inside the references, and so it's kind of I just kind of follow blindly, honestly. And I cross my fingers that I would be with these guys, another season.
You're lucky you've got fingers left.
Yes. I might lose them next season.
Let me go to David. There were many directors who worked on the show with you, but David directed the pilot. He gave the show its distinctive look, and he directed the finale of season 3. Which was one of the most beautiful and involving and engaging pieces of cinema and television I've ever seen. People have said it's dark in tone, but it's also dark the way it looks. Is this just a budgetary thing? You can't afford the lights or something?
Yeah, the DOP Jim Wilkinson, so I worked with years and years and years. And when I was going to first do this, I brought him in and he said, we're going to make the darkest show. We're going to have no lights on. We're going to have to pivot. We want people to lean in to the darkness. And so we continued that. And then when I saw this first episode of the second season, which I didn't have anything to do with except for the template, I was so proud of the show. And then to do the finale, that darkness, it became inherent in the show and in the characters. And it was a really cathartic experience directing that finale. Again, it was really, particularly that last scene which we shot over 2 nights with where they, a lot of blood. And people don't really know, I don't know if people know this, but when we shot that scene, Hugh and Matt did the entire scene every time. Even if, just for the little shots on the floor where Hugh was kind of, panting to get emotion into the right place. So we were going through the emotional roller coaster like every take, over and over and over again. It was, it's a great, I love doing the show.
I think we need to see all those different takes released online so we can all appreciate that moment. How many people were crying by the end of the season finale? Not that many. Okay, so I've spoken to a lot of the Walking Dead people, and I asked them what their favourite zombies are. They have a zombie week. Let me start with you, Albert. What's your favourite death or your favourite prepared human being in the show so far, and why?
I like the guy with in the first season who became the angel, sort of suspended in the air with the disgusting back thing happening with the naked people praying at the foot of the bed, because that was the first time that I went, they're fucking doing this on network television. Can you say fucking time?
I'm gonna call early. I'm gonna say lady horse baby uterus person. So turned out to call that one early.
Let me look. What was that called in the script? Was it called lady horse baby uterus?
Yeah. In the writers' room, we called it the turducken.
Okay. And that struck a chord with you, Alan. That's something from your childhood.
I guess my favorite killer, does it have to be a killer?
I think, or just a meal that he prepared. I mean, it could even be one of the dishes.
Oh, one of the dishes?
If you want to be greedy.
Misunderstood. I thought you were asking who the favorite killer was.
No, I like the fact the murders. I mean, the tableau.
Oh, I like the mushroom killer. Because I like when he grows mushrooms on diabetics, because not enough people stick it to the diabetics.
And she was such a nice old lady. So.
You know what I mean? It's your time, diabetics. I'm pouring the sugar.
How are they?
I kind of like the tree man. He was oddly beautiful.
It was, wasn't it? It was really.
Yeah, and there was something so, he looked so proud and generous. Yeah, he was missing everything.
I think we're finding out how everyone wants to go. Right? Yeah. Steve, you have one?
It's probably the totem pole from season 1. Because selfishly, it was the first one I wrote. Brian dragged me over, and then it was like, we're going to do what? And then it was like, yeah, and the killer's 70, and we'll get Lance Henriksen. We were joking in the room. I said, you know who'd be great for this guy is Lance Henriksen. And then they asked me to write another episode, and I went back over, and there he was on set playing the part, and they hadn't told me. Brian just walked me over and introduced me. Well, yeah, we got Lance Henriksen to do it, but that was great.
David.
I think my favorite was the Orsolans, the idea of hiding from God. I remember it was a great note, it was a directorial note, hiding from God. that's what he had to say.
Mine would be the Eye of God. So episode 1 and 2 of season 2. And it was a strange melange arrangement of bodies, you know, of different colors, and the palette of color and the palette of desire, and from the point above, the Eye of God, and talking with the killer.
That's the one where the guy like was ripping his own skin off?
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's where you got to see Mads in the weird kind of transparent onesie. Was that something from your wardrobe, Brian, or was that? What's your favourite? Brian, I guess they're all your babies, but do you have a favourite?
Yeah, I love the human cello. I thought that was sort of fun to turn a man into an instrument, and I'm a particular fan of Michael Pitt cutting off his face and feeding it to the dog.
Are there any vegetarians here? Are there vegetarians working on the show? Has anyone become a vegetarian as a result of working on the show? David, were you veggie before you began?
I was, but I became a better cook, actually. It's true. I couldn't cook anything, and now I'm actually not too bad.
And you know, is there much to be read into the way the people are presented when Hannibal serves someone up? Should we look at the way the scenes are laid out, the way the tableaus are designed by him to look at either his relationship with who he's feeding or who he's killed?
Absolutely. There's a ton of symbolism in the show, so whenever we get into what those tableaus are, we talk a lot about like what the levels are. But sometimes it's just we want to see something very cool or creepy, and we go for the most ridiculous thing we can come up with.
Are you writing it, and are you guys thinking of it as Will and Hannibal being in love? Did they fall in love? Were they in love with each other?
I think they are. They have love for each other. It's not necessarily a sexual love, but I think they absolutely have a pure, genuine love for each other, and that's why the situation is so complicated.
And how much pressure from the audience would you need for it to become a sexual love?
The audience is already taking care of it. There is some fantastic art.
Respectful and very grateful to the fans that you have.
Absolutely.
And they are about as passionate and devoted as any fans I've ever seen for any show. I mean, they really seem to go, but they seem to be very craft-based as well, don't they? You get a lot of things made for you. What's the strangest thing that you have, any of you have been, well, I think that one picture was so many words right there. What is that? Oh, it's the stag. Kind of a droopy stag. Wow, there's enough. Okay.
Just talk to my wife.
So do you welcome the fan fictions? I know some shows are a little, not upset, but a little spooked by the stuff they read when it involves characters.
Well, I mean, in essence, I think the whole television show is fan fiction because we are all adamant fans of what's good for the gander is good for the goose.
We have, I've been given the sign that we should go to questions from the audience, and I have an extra special thing to say as well. That's for many of you who've got in line trying to ask questions, there will be prizes as well. So when you finish, you head over to this side, I believe, and we will make sure that you get the gift you deserve. Of course, if it's a terrible question, you will get roughly led from the hall instead. So choose your words carefully. This young lady is first, this young woman.
Hi, my name is Molly.
Hello.
Hi, Molly. Big, longtime fan, Wonder Falls fan, Caroline.
I think you deserve a wax lion when you go over there, because I know we have some.
Jay Tyler, my queen of everything, forever. So, and fishing daisies, of course. So, remember my question? So, I was inspired to read the books because I loved everything about the show and just couldn't wait for new episodes. And I was wondering who you're most excited about introducing. And we're all thinking about Barney and who might play him. And that's what I'd like to talk to you guys about.
Barney falls under Silence of the Lambs, unfortunately, so that's one of those that we have to wrestle MGM to the ground for. But for me, I guess it's a question for Steve and I, because we're the ones who know what we're doing with the characters. I think Murasaki's going to kick all sorts of ass.
Have you cast Murasaki yet?
No.
If you had, would you have told us?
Yes.
question. Yes, hopefully you'll get something signed and wonderful.
Can we give
Get
her
a wax. Yes, let's give her a wax lion. We've got a wax lion over there.
A wax line.
Thank you for being our first.
Well, that's pretty.
Molly.
Hello, my name is Sunil, and I'd like to thank you, Caroline and Brian, for Jay Tyler, who came to me at a time in my life I really needed her. Jay Tyler is my Raven Stack. So, Brian, I noticed recently, I thought this before, but Hannibal, the storytelling style of Hannibal has a lot in common with anime. It's got a lot of surreal imagery, visual metaphor and symbolism, high character emotion, and all possibly not logical or realistic. You can't watch Hannibal like you watch any other American television show. So have you been influenced by anime, or if not, what has influenced the storytelling style?
Well, I think, absolutely, I think anime is a huge influence in all sorts of ways because it is so striking, it is so graphic, and actually David and I, when we were talking about the style of the show, we did talk about anime quite a bit. And really, there's a lot of cinematic influences from David Lynch to David Cronenberg and also David Slade, who brought his own very unique bag of tricks to the show. But those are our chief cinematic influences, and we just want the show to be gorgeous and as refined aesthetically as the type of character. You should get a wax lion or a Wonder Falls thing. We have some Wonder Falls prizes over there for people who have Wonder Falls questions.
Hi, I'm Maya, and as a scientist, my favorite character are the characters of the sassy scientists.
Are you a real scientist or just a cosplay
I
scientist?
am. I'm studying to be a neuroscientist.
We need you.
So my question for them is, what do you want to see for the sassy scientists next season? Do you want to be more in the lab or more involved in the action? And what's on your wish list?
We have a spin-off in development where we move to like a small fishing town and we open up like a bake shop together, but we just can't stay out of trouble. It's called Catch of the Day. It'll be bad. It'll be very bad.
And we wear purple gloves, so it's like we're thinking outside the box.
Thank you. This was.
Hello, I'm Rachel, and I was wondering what the cuisine will be next season.
Love the suit.
The
Stay
suit
there,
is
stay there in the
amazing.
spotlight.
Italian. You gotta come up and get a prize. You gotta come up and get a prize, especially with that wardrobe.
And would that give us a clue as to where Hannibal is headed right now?
Yes, it will.
Next question.
Yes, hello. My name's Cassandra, and my question is for Brian.
Hi, Cassandra.
And I'm just curious to know if in season 3 we'll be learning the rest of the names of Will's dogs.
We're going to eke them out one at a time. I'm looking for Twitter suggestions. So we got Applesauce, who was Alana Bloom's dog that came from Twitter. So if you have some dog name suggestions, tweet them away. And come up and get a prize. You're in a costume, you get a prize.
Come on up, you're in a costume. Come this way.
Oh, look.
Will, or are you going to...
No, they're going that way.
They're going that way. Next question.
Fantastic. Amazing. Okay, we have some awesome Mondo posters, and you guys get one.
Thank you. Hi, my name is Ramin. This is Caleb. I'm gonna do a question for us since I know. So there was talk of Pushing Daisies musical a while ago. I was wondering if you did like a Hannibal musical. Would you want it to be based on like the TV series, or would you want to do something original? Maybe some auditions are in order. Right now.
Who can carry a tune? I know Ralph can.
We need some singing right now. We need a little bit of singing.
All I found on her was horseshoe-to-wrist.
Anyone else? Caroline, you got a song in your first?
Raul?
No, I can't. I've lost my voice.
David? No. Okay, no. All right. Okay, well, there you go. No musical, I believe.
I would love to do a surreal musical number in Hannibal's Mind Palace. I want to see Mads Mikkelsen dance like Christopher Walken in the Weapon of Choice. I would love to see him swinging around the Mind Palace.
And he can do it, we know, because he started out doing musicals, so backstage on set, you never know what's happening. We should film that one of these days. Because he can do it. The man can dance. Man can dance.
Great question, great costumes. You'll get a good prize, go wherever the prizes live. Let's hear it again for the fabulous costumes, ladies and gentlemen. Next question, please.
Hi, I have a little something for Brian Bierlein.
Yay!
And also I have a question for Caroline and Raoul, because my first language isn't English, and I wanted to know if it's really hard to work in English if it's not your first language.
It takes a little more work, of course, especially when it gets really late at night. But I think it's easier when you have a script than in conversation, for example, when you're looking for your words or whatever. When the script is there, you know what you have to watch out for. I actually like it. It gives me distance, the language, with the words that I kind of find very inspiring to work with.
I learned Spanish first, but then I don't remember learning English. So I learned both languages sort of simultaneously. And I do know that when I'm trying to put something together and trying to be somehow more creative without being too analytical about it, I end up using the Spanish more than I do the English. But both languages just kind of mix together for me completely. They have ever since I was a little kid. But they kind of feed off each other. I think, just what Caroline said, you become so aware of how language works. And this is a show that is really rich in that.
Is it tough for the different languages coming together? Because you have Spanish, French, Hugh speaking English, you speaking that weird, messed up American bullshit. So does communication become a problem between you as a group?
Not that I'm aware of. I'm sure I can be probably too obtuse, but I think it has nothing to do with language, more language skills.
Thank you for the question. Great question. Next one, please.
How are you? Good, how are you? First of all, I'm so glad you destroyed Gretchen's spec, finally. I thank Jay Tyler for making it easier for me as a Gen Y loser to get through that. My question is, if you were gonna be eaten, and I'm not saying it's gonna happen, but if you were, what dish would you prefer to be served in?
Is that for everyone? Is it?
Oh yeah.
I don't know whether everyone has an answer ready, just off the tip of their tongue, but if anyone does.
I want to be on an Hermes platter.
Raw. I want to be eaten raw. So much meat.
How do you want to be eaten, Scott?
I want to be eaten with your fingers.
Pie.
I don't know, maybe some kind of dessert, just to change
A pie?
it up a little bit.
Give me a pie.
Well, Dave could be savory and Caroline could be sweet.
Well, Aaron's obviously a tiramisu.
Obviously. I mean,
Please, screams it. So eat a bowl, right?
you thought a lot about this.
I thought a lot about how I would eat Zeller.
I definitely want to be roast pork. I want to come back, it's like, be roasted like in a luau.
On a spit?
Like on a spit. No, under the ground with the long front. Well, a spit would be fun because then you'd be spinning.
You never get this question on any other panel. Thank you, great question.
Get a prize, get a prize, get a prize!
Where are they here? There's confusion. Price confusion is this way generally. Okay, next question.
What happens to Margot with her reproductive choices kind of being removed, and the scar that she gets?
we see that kind of scar reappear in the finale on Will. Was that like intended as
Well, there's the whole symmetry between what was happening between Margot and Mason and what happens between Will and Hannibal. They're both left with scars by their oppressors in a way that are very similar. So we wanted to make sure that balance between those two characters was drawn. So yeah, it was very intentional. They each got smiley faces on their tummy.
Well spotted. You probably get a prize, so you come down and just on the other side. Sir, looks like you wear a straight jacket, but that's not, is it? That's just a shirt, or is it a straight jacket?
Oh, it's a straight jacket.
Oh, good.
That's fantastic.
Thanks.
I didn't think it was an outfit, I thought you were just one of those kids. But anyway, let's go.
Anyway, so I guess I should name drop Wonder Falls because I love that show. It's awesome. I love all of your work. I hope that we see a Pushing Daisies movie or something.
Me too.
My question was, in terms of the first season, it sort of starts out as like a procedural kind of crime show, and then it diverts away from that as the season progresses. And then in the second season, we sort of start to see those elements happen again. So I was wondering, in season 3, how much is going to be based on them solving cases versus tracking Hannibal?
The entire first half of the season is relatively FBI-like. You only see the FBI in one episode of the first 7 because it is all about the pursuit of Hannibal, and we kind of abandoned that structure that we had in the first 2 seasons for something that is unique to the books. But good question, and get a prize, get a cool prize.
You know, we had mentioned Pushing Daisies briefly. There was talk of a comic book. You were working on a comic book, right?
Yeah.
Stories Alive. What happened with that?
We had 2 issues, and then Wildstorm collapsed. And when we tried to publish it through DC said it was not their brand, so they would not be publishing.
But there's a chance it could appear because I know you finished it.
We have 2 issues that are fantastic, but hopefully they'll just become the backbone of the movie.
Next question. Another great question.
I beg you to help.
That's costume.
Now you're making it look easy, this whole acting thing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
This is the greatest day of my life right now. Go on.
I know we share this moment, Raoul.
Yes.
That's why
We'll always have this. We will always have San Diego.
I have a question for Mr. Fuller. I want to know, there's a rumor on the internet that said the 3rd season starts 1 year after the end of the 2nd season. Is it true?
Yes, that's true.
Why?
Because we want to be very vague with who survived that bloody night, and also we wanted to land the characters in a place where they were active. And don't you forget to get your prize. Don't you sit down.
You mean active and not in hospitals?
So it was very intentional that we wanted to take a space, land Hannibal and Bedelia, because the first episode is very much like a pilot for a new series starring Gillian Anderson and Mads Mikkelsen. It was important for us to have a passage of time so we could come into their story at the most dramatic point, and then episode 4 will detail what happens between the finale of season 2 and the first episode of season 3. So we'll get to that, but we're sort of telling the story emotionally as opposed to temporally, if that makes sense. Thank you.
Hello! I would like to thank you for your wonderful female characters on the show. They've all just been stunning.
Me too.
My favorite character is Abigail Hobbs. I love her dearly. She's so dynamic and interesting. She's not good, she's not bad, she's got all sorts of dynamics.
Well, she's kind of bad.
But it's not her fault.
Yeah, it's a couple of.
Listen.
Kind of bad.
So my question for Brian is, where was she in season 2?
It would be a lot of fun to do an episode in season 3 that explains exactly where she was and what she was doing. We love Little Miss Casey Roll, and she will be part of season 3. We will see the actress again.
Hello. Hi, it's nice seeing you guys here again. I'm really happy that you guys managed to come out. My question is for Brian, and my question was, what is your thought process from concept to final product when you're creating the visual narrative of Hannibal?
Well, it's really so much about the teamwork, especially the visual narrative of the show is hinging so wonderfully on what David Slade did for us in the pilot and setting up the entire cinematic vocabulary. And it is so rare to have a director return to a series and remain dedicated to the series. David mixes every episode. The fantastic sound design and sound mixing on this show is David Slade sitting in and mixing stage for hours and hours and hours to make sure that it sounds as beautifully as it can. And I've never worked with a director who remained. Here we are in going into season 3, and David's coming back again to direct more episodes, and that just doesn't happen. Usually directors direct the pilot, they take their check, they go away, and to have David's loyalty and his vision with this show is an incredible, incredible gift. Thank you.
Anyone else to say what you're going off to do in between before the story? I'm not allowed to say what that is yet.
We're on Hannibal now.
Okay. Okay, next question, please.
If Will could say there's any more dogs, what other dog breeds if you have just pet dogs?
I think Will Graham is a mutt collector. I think there's something so beautiful about rescue dogs, and it's such a wonderful emotional experience. And anybody who's thinking about rescuing a dog, please do, because they need homes and they need love. And it's rare that they get them, and so many dogs are destroyed every year. So if you have an opportunity or the means, adopt a dog that's a mutt in a shelter.
That's the message of the show, really, I guess.
Yeah. It's a prize. Go get a prize. A dog-themed prize.
Next question.
Hi, my question is for Brian and Caroline because there's so many powerful women on the show. So I was just wondering what influenced your portrayal of male characters in the novel as female in the television show?
Well, I think we needed it. We needed more females, and go get your prize. That's one of the things that certainly Steve and I are very excited about in the writer's room is that not only do we have Caroline, we have Bedelia to play with, we have Murasaki to play with, so, and the beautiful and amazing Gina Torres. We feel like we really are doing some interesting things with the female characters on the show, and we were even talking about that the other day about how most of the female characters on the show can see so much clearer Hannibal than the male characters, because Jack is wrapped up in his own law and wanting to bring justice, and Will is so confused by seeing this vision of a man who's very much his reflection, and the women can see Hannibal clearly now, and we're going to be exploring a lot more of that in season 3 with more female characters. So I'm so glad you like it, because I think we're doing justice to some of the characters in the book. Great question. People with costumes get better prizes than people who don't have costumes.
Next question, please.
Hi, first off, I wanted to say, Martha, go well stayed.
Stage!
Sure. Anyway, on the back of her question, I'm another person that just sort of recently discovered Wonder Falls and really recognized something in Jay Tyler that I saw in myself, and I'm wondering if you think that the industry is moving towards a place where stories told about diverse females are something that's commonplace instead of something that's seen as progressive.
Maybe Caroline or Martha would like to take that first.
Well, I love what Kate Blanchett said at the Oscars. Was it the Oscars or the Golden Globes? She was saying, the world is round, people. Yes, we do want to hear more about strong female characters. And yeah, I think there's still, a place to go, but yeah, every year, I think television's so strong right now. There are a bunch of amazing female characters out there. And I really applaud Brian for, making some of these masculine characters feminine on our show. It would have been really sad for the only female characters to have been victims,
Brian, what I like to think there's a deliberate fluidity in the writing when you don't differentiate between writing a male or a female part, and you deliberately give them the same kind of qualities sometimes when you want to have, you don't.
I tend not to think about genitals when I'm writing a character, because I think people first and foremost. I mean, I think you could have easily argued that Jay Tyler on Wonderfalls could have been a man going through the same experience, but there's something unique about the female experience that I think has an accessibility and an emotional resonance that runs at a slightly wider bandwidth than the male experience, and maybe that's just general sexism, but I find writing for women to be no less complicated than writing for men, because I just look at them as individuals.
Hi. Oh, no.
That's a big flower crown.
Yes, I make mine really large. Hair. So, my name is Jasmine, and my question is actually for Caroline. I wanted to know what was when you got the script that you were gonna fall in love and sleep with Hannibal, like what was that thought process? Because we see Alana start to see what Will was talking about, but yet she still falls in love with this handsome man. So I just wanted to know what that process was.
You got part of the answer right there in the question, I think.
What my thought process was, I don't remember. I don't know, I think it was kind of a natural progression. She became closer to him. I think she had feelings for Will in the first season. She knew she always got stuck in these situations where she wanted to fix a man and study, and now I think she wanted a grown-up relationship, and Hannibal seemed, like I was saying earlier, like such a rock, and it seemed like a very healthy relationship. And yeah, it seemed natural for them to go there. And also Hannibal is so wise that he didn't even have to do anything. I went to him. And also, I think it just makes Will's story so much more painful and interesting.
One of the first conversations that we had when we were talking about the role, and we were talking about playing opposite Mads Mikkelsen, and that it was going to become romantic eventually, you were over the moon.
Oh yeah. I've seen all his Danish films. I mean, when I heard I was going to be working with him, it was like a dream come true. So ending up in bed, I was like, oh my god.
You're like Santa Claus, aren't you, Brian? Yeah. I think, is that it for questions? I guess that's it for questions.
There's more prizes. Oh, so we have this at the Funko booth, which is booth 5343. We're going to be doing a signing tomorrow, and there is a raffle to win a custom Hannibal that is right here, and I'm trying not to break it as I pull it out. But we decoupage. I'm not even going to try to pull that. We decoupage pages from the actual book and made a Hannibal suit. So somebody can win this guy, and also just come to the signing tomorrow and get the Hannibal doll. We're going to have Hannibal dolls and action figures, which I love.
What time's the signing tomorrow?
The signing tomorrow is at 1 o'clock at booth 5343. And that's where you enter to win this guy.
I think we're kind of out of time. We have one more thing to show you before we go. Before we do, I know Brian a little bit, and I know how much respect and how much love he has for everyone who loves his work. And it's a genuine and it's a wonderful thing to see. I know you feel the same love back to him, so let's hear it now for everyone. If Hannibal managed to get hold of one of the Emmy judging panel, how would you serve him up?
Spit roasted. Another thing that we have coming up is a book called The Art and Making of Hannibal, the television series that is going to be coming out that will have all sorts of amazing photographs and behind the scenes pictures of how we make the show. So that is a book that's going to be coming out very soon.
So look out for the book. The signage will be there 1 o'clock if you go down for the booth there, the Funko booth, is that right?
Funko booth.
Okay, it's here in the book there. And now, Brian, would you like to do the honours before we all say goodbye?
So we are going to be having the season 2 DVD is coming out on September 16th. Everybody here should know that also we have the DVD coming out on September 16th, and the thing that I'm super excited about as somebody who has been collecting soundtracks since I was 5, we are going to be releasing 4 volumes of Hannibal music, 2 for each season. First one comes out August 5th, and the second one comes out September 2nd. But everybody in this room gets a supplemental soundtrack that will have music pieces that are not going to be released anywhere else. So everybody gets that. And also, there is a Lionsgate signing at the booth that we have a sleeve that is some David Slade photography for the DVD that comes out. So we bring it tomorrow or come to booth 4045 at 10:45 a.m. tomorrow, and we'll all sign it. And then when you get the DVDs, you can pop it right in there.
This is the panel that just keeps on giving too much away. So before we say goodbye, unless I don't know if there's any more housekeeping there, before we say goodbye, you're going to introduce something for everyone to see. Is this on the DVD? Will this be on the DVD?
We are going to be seeing this is a snippet of the blooper reel. We're showing there's a much longer one on the DVD, but we're giving you a taste.
Let's watch this and then we'll say goodbye.